Faking cancer has become a fact of life. So how did we get here? This is a history of faking cancer. 1900s. Faking cancer was almost unheard of before the 1980s. There just wasn't a social reward. Cancer patients were more often shunned than shown love and affection. 1995. Seinfeld airs a cancer faking episode where Jon Lovitz plays a faker who does it to get sympathy, gifts, and dates from women. It's really the first major portrayal of cancer faking in popular culture, and it's way ahead of its time. Did Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld predict the faking cancer future? 1998. Iowa mom Charlene Zimmerman went on Oprah and wrote letters to her kids to read after she died of cancer. But she did not die of cancer. And by the end of the 90s, there were maybe a few hundred people faking cancer. 2000. Elizabeth Wagstaff is one of the first big cases in Britain. She was a BBC home makeover personality who lied about dying of cancer to raise money and buy a bunch of expensive stuff. 2001, The Royal Tenenbaums depicts a man faking cancer to get back in the good graces of his family. 2002, most people in America are online now, and faking cancer is proliferating, especially in Ohio. A woman named Katrina Combs in Marysville fakes cancer and holds charity bake sales and cookouts to raise money. At the same time, just a few towns over, the Milbrandt family is proxy faking their 7-year-old daughter's cancer, and they're also throwing charity bake sales and cookouts in their community. Nowhere seemed to have more early 2000s cases of faking cancer than Central Ohio. 2006, Facebook hits society like an atom bomb, and nothing is ever the same again. Social media explodes, and so do faking cancer cases. The United States has the most, but Australia is also a hotbed. 2007, Mike Guglielmucci is an evangelical youth pastor in Australia who fakes cancer all the way to the top of the Christian rock charts. With Hillsong, he records an anthem called Healer, about putting his health in God's hands. It's a huge hit, and he performs the song live while hooked up to an oxygen tank that isn't even turned on. When he finally gets caught, his dad tells the nation that his son faked cancer to hide his crippling pornography addiction. 2008. Carrie Farrell, known as the hipster grifter, cons Vice and much of Williamsburg with fake cancer and other scams that are documented breathlessly by Gawker. At the same time, in Missouri, Dee Dee Blanchard was shaving her daughter Gypsy Rose's hair to fake cancer in an extreme case of Munchausen by proxy that will not end well for either. 2009. As cases increase, so do the dollar amounts in some of these scams. In Connecticut, a gay Catholic priest named Kevin Gray steals over $1 million from his parishioners and spends it on drugs and lavish parties in New York City. He even pays for his boyfriend's Harvard tuition. 2010. Millennials are becoming young adults now, and they're faking cancer at unprecedented rates. In October 2010, Instagram launches, and talking about your health online will never be the same again. That same week, I got cancer at age 21 while I was a senior in college. Here's a picture of me before going into cancer treatment, and here's a picture of me during my chemo and radiation. I went through treatment while I was still in college and working a job and having an active social life. And I was so fascinated by the social dynamics of being young and sick around other millennials. Just a few hours north in Ontario, a millennial named Ashley Kurillo became the first cancer faker to really go viral around the world. She got fake tattoos on her knuckles that said, "Won't quit." Ashley Kurillo was exposed in late 2010, and it shocked Canadians. But then 4 more Canadian fakers made the news in just the next 6 weeks. It was like an avalanche of Canadian fakers in late 2010. 2011, I finished my cancer treatment and tried to move on with my life, but I really couldn't stop thinking about it. This is my hair growing back after chemo. Then I saw a news story about a cancer faker, and I became so fascinated and wanted to know everything about people doing this and why they did this and where they did this and how they did this. So I went way down the rabbit hole, and there were all these cases. But there wasn't really any journalism or investigative reporting on the larger phenomenon of faking cancer. So I decided to do it myself. I started keeping track of cases in a spreadsheet 14 years ago, and I've been researching the subject ever since. 2011, a high school senior in El Paso named Angie Gomez fakes leukemia, starts a fake charity, raises a bunch of money, and becomes the prom queen. 2012, Amanda Riley starts a decade-long cancer con in California. 2013, Alternative wellness and influencer culture is starting to blow up, and this becomes a convenient cover for many cancer fakers, like Belle Gibson in Australia. She launches The Whole Pantry in 2013, a wellness and healthy eating app that goes viral and makes Belle Gibson famous and gets her a book deal and an exclusive app partnership with Apple, the most valuable company in the world. No other cancer faker has ever risen so far, so fast as Belle Gibson. 2014, Elizabeth Finch, a writer on Grey's Anatomy, starts faking cancer and using the lie to manipulate her Shondaland coworkers. 2015, it was a huge year for faking cancer. In Australia, Belle Gibson was exposed as a cancer faker and really became public enemy number one after her disastrous 60 Minutes interview. In the United States, millions of Bravo fans learned about faking cancer on season 10 of The Real Housewives of Orange County, where Vicki Gunvalson's partner, Brooks Ayers, faked cancer and was exposed by a psychic medium and the detective work of Megan Edmonds. 2016. It's the year Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos went down in flames. It's the year of fake news. Public trust is vanishing. Everyone assumes everything is a scam, and they're usually right. Faking cancer has become shockingly widespread, mostly among young white people. And by now, it's having an increasingly negative effect on real cancer patients. This is around the time when I started seeing more and more stories about people with real cancer being falsely accused. Quincy Jones was one of them. He was a rising comedian in California who got a very real terminal cancer diagnosis and went viral trying to raise money to put on his own stand-up special while he still could. He even went on Ellen's show, and then HBO actually did give him his own special in 2016. But then Quincy kept surviving, which should have been a great thing. But other comedians started spreading rumors that he was faking cancer. When I talked to Quincy a few years ago, he said he thinks being a black guy is a big part of why he didn't get the benefit of the doubt from a bunch of white comedians who dragged his name through the mud. While fakers like Belle Gibson and Elizabeth Finch were believed for years, even as their stories didn't add up, Quincy got blackballed from comedy because people believed false accusations. 2019, best-selling novelist A.J. Finn, real name Dan Mallory, the author of The Woman in the Window, is outed as a cancer faker by The New Yorker. They outlined a decade-long career of lies that helped him rise the ranks in the literary world. This is a groundbreaking faking cancer case because it's the first one where the faker basically got away with it. He barely addressed it and just sort of moved on. Belle Gibson got taken down, Elizabeth Finch was fired, but Dan Mallory is still writing books for major publishers. He was just too successful to cancel. 2019. In Chile, a left-wing protest movement seeks greater social equality. A man named Rodrigo Vade lies about being a cancer patient and gets famous in the movement for writing about the high cost of cancer treatments. When he's exposed as a fraud, many claims that it hurts the movement. Meanwhile, in Ireland, one of the country's most famous athletes, hurler DJ Carey, is faking cancer and sticking an iPhone charger up his nose. 2020. Another side of faking cancer is when people with real cancer fake not having it. In 2020, actor Chadwick Boseman died of cancer without telling anyone but his close family, and he went to great lengths to hide his condition and keep working as he died. This is like the polar opposite behavior of healthy people pretending to have cancer. Summer 2022. Scamanda is the #1 podcast, and the world learns about Amanda Riley's cancer scam. Around the same time, Vanity Fair exposes Elizabeth Finch's cancer lies. 2024. The show Anatomy of Lies brings the Elizabeth Finch story to a larger audience. 2025. We reach peak faking cancer saturation in the culture. The TV version of Scamanda airs on Hulu, and at the same time, Netflix airs Apple Cider Vinegar about Belle Gibson. That same week, I decided to start this TikTok and share my perspective on faking cancer after 14 years of research. I was overwhelmed with the response as thousands and thousands of new cases came into my comments and DMs. I now believe there are tens of thousands of people faking cancer and who have faked cancer in the past. Faking cancer has never been more common. Public awareness of faking cancer has never been higher, and false accusations against real patients have never been more common. This is sadly the reality for cancer patients now. I've talked to several young people who have cancer who said that they're actually afraid to tell people because they don't look sick and they're worried they won't be believed. This is pretty new, and it sucks. Cancer fakers have seeped into the culture and changed the public's perception of cancer and cancer patients, and there's probably no going back. We have collectively, as a culture, become more suspicious and less trusting of one another. This will continue to make life harder for real patients as the number of fakers just keeps on increasing.